lovely viewers, and I would like to welcome you to the Heaven Project present Steady with Seth. I'm Seth. Now, in this video, we'll be looking at the fifth unit in logic and critical thinking. This is the outline of the video. We'll start with looking at representations in logic, arguments in logic, features of an argument, inferential claim, types of non-arguments, and then types of arguments. Let's begin. Very well. So, representations in logic. Now, in logic, a representation is basically what we say. So, whenever you make a declaration or you make an assertion, what you are doing is that you are making a representation, right? Now, in the context of logic, the thing that we say, or whatever we say, whatever we write down for other people to read, can either be argumentative or non-argumentative, right? So the whole agenda behind this course, logic and critical thinking, is to equip students with a skill set to be able to differentiate between argumentative representations and non-argumentative representations, right? And also teaches students how to make valid or cogent arguments. So let's look at what arguments are in the context of logic. Okay, so arguments in logic, right? What's an argument in logic? Now, in logic, an argument is any group of propositions. Let's break. In logic, when we talk about propositions, it's simply referring to statements. So propositions in this context is not referring to the normal meaning of proposition in everyday language. It's simply referring to statements in logic. Remember, a statement is a declarative sentence that has a truth value of either true or false. An argument is any group of propositions, right? A group of propositions, one of which is claimed to follow from the other. So one of the propositions is going to follow from the others, and the others are regarded as providing evidence of the truth of that one. So basically speaking, an argument in logic, when you make an argumentative representation, what happens is that you give a group of propositions, statements. One of the statements is going to follow from the rest, and then the other statements will provide evidence for that statement which is following from them, right? And in logic and critical thinking, we have terms that we use to describe these types of propositions in an argument. So this is logic, right? Group of propositions. The arguments that provide the evidence are known as premise or premises. There may be one or more. And the one that follows from the premises is called the conclusion. Now, the conclusion has to be one at all times. In every argument, the conclusion is always ever only one. Now, in an argument, the conclusion can come at the beginning, at the end, or in the middle. So, let's move to the next part. Right on. Having discussed what an argument is in logic, what are the features of an argument, right? The features of an argument, meaning that what are the things or what are the qualities an argument possesses, right? So if anything possesses these arguments, if anything possesses these features, we can classify it as an argument. Does that ring a bell? If not, then please go back to Unit 4. Features of an argument, right? So every argument has a premise, the statement or statements that provide the evidence for the conclusion. The conclusion follows from the premise, right? You can say that the conclusion is a claim that an argument is making. Now, the inferential claim, will go deeper into this in the next part. But let's just say that an inferential claim is referring to, every argument has an inferential claim. And this means that in every argument, the conclusion is drawing inference from the premises, right? So that's what we call the inferential claim. Is standing on the premises to make a claim, and that's what we call an inferential claim. Let's look at the types of inferential claim. Very well. So we understand that in an argument there's an inferential claim, right? The inferential claim simply meaning that the conclusion is drawing its inference from the premises. The inferential claim can be said, or described as the points the argument is making. Now, in every argument, there is something called indicator words. You have premise indicator words and conclusion indicator words. These are words that simply allow you to identify the premises and the conclusions in every statement, in every argument. Sorry. Now, there are two types of inferential claims. You have the explicit and the implicit. With the explicit is with the explicit inferential claim, they contain indicator words. With the implicit, they contain no indicator words, right? So remember, the inferential claim is always found in the conclusion, and it's just referring to the fact that the conclusion draws its inference from the premises. Now, example of indicator words for conclusion can be therefore, so. It means that, and then indicator words for the premises can be reason being because. I get it. So the explicit inferential claim contains indicator words for the conclusion. So when you see it, you know that it's clear, bam. But with the implicit one, it contains no indicator words, so you can just imply it from reading, but it doesn't really stand firm in the same manner as the explicit. Let's go to the next chapter. Right. Now, in the beginning of this video, I stated that an argument is the main agenda behind the course Logic and Critical Thinking, right? Now, for you to understand more of what an argument is, it will help for you to identify or to know what an argument is not. So on the body, I have types of non-arguments, right? Simple non-inferential passages. Now they come in the form of what? Warnings, pieces of advice, belief, or opinion, right? So these are non-arguments, right? If I understand it out, I believe in God. It's not an argument. I'm a Christian. It's not an argument, right? The second type are expository passages, and this is mainly demonstrated in academic writing, right? We do this a lot in academic writing or scholarly writing. Now the third is illustrations. Now the illustrations, is simply a write-up that shows how something is done, or that demonstrates a process. And the fourth, explanations. So these are types of non-arguments. Let's look at the types of arguments. As we are getting close to the end, right? Not just of this video, but of also the course. Right? So types of arguments. There are three. The third is not really core in this course, right? But the third, so I'll start with that. Antonyms, right? Now, an entonym is also known as unstated propositions. It is an argument which has one of its premises unstated. Why is the premise unstated? This is simply because the person who is making the argument, the arguer, the one who is making the representation, believes that that premise is common knowledge, so they need not mention it, right? So whenever you have an argument that's missing a premise or two, it's an entonym, right? So let's put that in the back seat, right? Deductive arguments and inductive arguments, right? Now in unit 4, we discussed what inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning are. So you should have a fair clue about this. Deductive argument is an argument in which the conclusion draws its inference from the premises with certainty, right? Why is that? Because it's based on what we know. Go back. If you don't understand, please, unit 4, you understand, okay? So inductive arguments are based on what? Certainty. The conclusion stand on the premise that is right, it's certainty. And now the inductive argument, it deals with a degree of probability. So the conclusion is said to draw its inference from the premises, with a degree of probability. It's not really certain, but it's probable. right? So that is it for Unit 5, right? Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for, watching my videos and learning from them. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and please share with your friends. Thank you very much. So, Janu Nikwe, the Area Project. We are out.